Greetings survivors, welcome back to my channel Best Gamer Early, your ultimate destination for all zombie games. Today we're going to be talking about the evolution of Harran virus in Dying Light 2. So hold on to your UV flashlights and subscribe to the channel to stay human. To understand the evolution of the virus, we must first go back in the time when all of this happened. 2013 Harran. The Harran virus, which is said to have originated from rabies, have numerous origin stories ranging from alien encounters to military experiments. Some suggest it might have come from food sources and others blame the GRE for it. And scientists basically suggest the virus is a disease compared to rabies and the process of turning into a zombie is progressive. This disease is transmitted primarily by being bitten by an infected but may happen through other exchanges of bodily fluids. However, the subjects are not contagious until they turn into a zombie, which is when there is no going back. But there's a whole lot of process that a person goes through when he or she gets infected. So when a human gets infected, the first stage begins where a person can be saved if he or she is given antizin on time. And let's say in the case there is no antizin, the person can simply be exposed to UV light, which will now reverse the infection, but it won't eliminate it. So if you're in the stage 1 of the infection, then being in light or consuming antizin every time the infection rises is your best bet. Also, during the stage, you'll have flu-like symptoms like coughing, sweating, dilated pupils, fever, and cold chills. If not treated, the person will enter stage 2 where his body temperature raises to up to 43 degrees Celsius. And that, my friends, is when you'll have hallucinations and your body physically degrades. Next step would be stage 3, where your physical body degrades even more and you get muscle spasm, epilepsy crisis, and you're unable to speak. But let's say even after all that, the infected human could not get into the light or find antizin in time. Well, in that case, stage 4 begins, which is the turning point, as the person will have genetic mutations and they will basically become a zombie, and now there is no going back. Yes, it's basically permanent. Now, the original Harran virus had few mutations, like virals who are mostly recently infected individuals and are highly sensitive to loud noises. And yeah, once they find a prey, every muscle in their body engages in a mad pursuit, which is when they will chase their prey relentlessly. So it doesn't matter if the prey is on the ground or on the rooftop, the viral can reach anywhere, and once it catches its prey, it will beat it, scratch it, and bite it like a wild animal. This is why during the outbreak, most of the civilians were aggressively killing each other. But after being a viral, there's actually two different things that can happen with the infected. Firstly, if the viral stays out in the day for too long or gets in contact of the UV light for too long, well, in that case, the viral will turn into a biter, which are the most common variant of the infected, as they are slow and not particularly dangerous on their own, but are often found in large groups. In fact, they're easily distracted by sounds and are weak on their feet, but some variants of the biters are stronger than the others. By the way, a fun fact, some of these biters also turn into night walkers during the night time, which is basically a viral, but it only happens during the early stages of infection. Now imagine if a viral, instead of going out in the sun, simply stays in the dark for too long. Well, in that case, the viral will now mutate into a killing machine, also known as the volatile, who, as we know, are one of the strongest and the most dangerous variants of the infected, as they hunt during the night and are taller and more muscular than the regular infected. In fact, they are very fast and are capable of doing parkour, with their only true weakness being UV light. Now, the volatiles actually had 3 different variants in Harran, the first one being the normal volatile. Second one is called the alpha volatiles, which first appeared in the following DLC. The third one is called sentient volatiles, which are rare and are the most powerful beings out there. By the way, I do have a dedicated video on this in case you want to watch it. But do remember, sentient volatiles are not part of the infection stages. It happens due to a completely different reason, so we won't be talking about it here. But what we will talk about is the other mutations that happened in Harran. We had demolishers, who were once part of the Harran Police Force Riot Control Unit, and after the infection, they basically mutated into this muscular brute, someone that can easily flip cars and even throw it at you. Then we had Screamers, who were basically mutated children who have now gained an ability to let out a deafening scream, alerting nearby infected. Then we had Goons, who were muscular people that basically worked at a construction site or at a fire station. And because of the mutation, their body grew larger and the rebar got stuck to their hands, which they now use as a weapon. Then we had Bombers, who once were regular infected, and well, all they did was this. After this, we had a Bolter, who just kept running. And then finally we had a Toad, also known as the Spitter, and you already know what it does. Now all of these were the mutations that happened after the outbreak in 2013, and Harran by that time was officially abandoned by the whole world. But in 2015 a vaccine was created for the Harran virus, and with that there were no new cases of the infected. Until the GRE again tried to weaponize the Harran virus for their own benefit, and they were able to make a more potent variant of the Harran virus called the Tachy-transmissive Harran virus. But unfortunately in 2021 a laboratory personnel got infected with the new variant and the virus started spreading like fire. In fact, despite the lockdowns, the virus had spread across all the Europe, China, America and Japan. Then by 2024 all major cities had fallen except the city of Villador, which became the last bastion of civilization that was still standing. But then came fall of 2024, a chemical compound called THV GenMod was discovered, which dramatically accelerated the decaying process of a zombie DNA. This chemical basically gave humans a hope for the war against the zombies, and then the chemical bombings happened. This actually killed hundreds of thousands of people without eliminating the main threat, the zombies. In fact, what it did was create more large-scale mutations of the already existing zombies. Now let's see how the zombies evolved in Dying Light 2 when compared to Dying Light 1. Starting with the biters, who in Dying Light 2 are basically the same, a degenerated version of a viral which has been exposed to the UV light before they could evolve. Also in Dying Light 2, the skins of these biters have been completely dried out to the bone. In fact, they are weaker than before, but in groups they are still a deadly force. But that group, my friends, doesn't consist of the normal biters anymore. Instead, these biters are called degenerated biters, who mostly show up in group and are more weaker and slower than the other zombies. And let's say if these zombies stay in the UV light for some more time, then they will basically die. Now this was the evolution for the biters, but there are some more evolutions that happened for a volatile. Like, after the chemical bombings, thousands of people died in that incident and only few survived. But the major concern was the infected, because instead of killing the zombie virus, it made it even worse. So now in the stages of infection, a new thread has been added, which means the volatiles that are now exposed to the chemicals can either become a super volatile or a special infected. Now a super volatile in Dying Light 2 is called a Tyrant Volatile, a more deadlier version of the alpha volatiles with some new abilities. They can basically spit at you, do some Jackie Chan shit, and are bigger in size, health and resistance. All thanks to the special chemicals and the fact that they stayed in the darkness for too long. But now coming to our special infected category. This actually has changed so much since the outbreak in Harran, mainly because of the chemicals that mutated the DNA of the volatiles. That's the reason why every zombie you see inside the special infected category has a split jaw just like a volatile. And do remember, this is something we did not see back in the original Harran virus strain. And yeah, the zombies are as follows. Banshee, a very agile zombie that can jump considerable heights to reach their prey. They are relatively weak and they usually retreat if their deadly mid-air attack misses. Revenant. The mutations incurred on the Revenant DNA has created a special organ that can buff surrounding zombies by creating a zone of mist, which can also briefly paralyze humans. Spitter, a special type of zombie that can project toxic goo that can hit a long range as a singular shot or as a dangerous blast. In fact, at a short range, they also do a deadly vomit. Howler. They don't actually engage upon sight, instead they emit a highly pitched scream which will attract surrounding zombies. In some cases they can also stun the regular people. Rampage. They have developed an impenetrable shield made of hardened skin in front of their body and can only be wounded from the behind. Also, they basically attack with a brutal blind forward attack. Demolisher. They are high tier tank type zombies who will use anything that falls in their hand to crush their opponent with extreme force. Also, they are often fitted with the mutated armor that can be weakened with the UV light. Goon. They are tank type zombies who are slow but extremely powerful and are able to withstand a lot of damage before dying. Suicider. A special type of zombie who will charge the player on sight and explode upon reaching contact. And finally, a bolter. These are unique type of zombies that will avoid all human contacts, and they are extremely agile and they often carry rare materials and are precious source for crafting materials. All of these zombies I mentioned above are more evolved version of the already existing zombies in the Dying Light universe. The second variant of the Harran virus is more deadlier, attacks its host faster in less than 3 days, and just for the comparison, it's half the time of the original Harran virus. I mean, the Harran virus took 6 days to several weeks to change its host from a healthy human to a zombie. And the variant on the other hand can do the same thing in half the time, and yeah, currently there is no cure for it. But with all of that, there is actually a problem with the Harran virus strain. Compared to the original Harran virus, the variant is extremely sensitive to UV light. That's why you barely see virals or any of the special infected outside during the daytime. Only few infected like goons, howlers, and regenerated biters show up during the day, with all of the rest hiding inside the buildings. Also, do keep this in mind that the howlers used to show up only during the night time, but Techland changed it and now they're going to show up in the daytime. So yeah, fuck the lore. And that, my friends, is how Harran virus has evolved over the time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if I missed anything or said something wrong, then do let me know, because I'm a human too for now, and yeah, I can do mistakes. By the way, for this video, all the information I've gathered have been taken directly from the game, and some has been taken from the old Dying to Know episodes. Also, there are some more crazy videos coming talking about some interesting topics in Dying Light 2. So do subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss it, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, stay safe and stay human.